Now we will discuss the assumptions of the law of variable proportions, that when we are defining the relationship, when we are relating only the variable input with the output, then what are the situations we are considering for this analysis. So these will be the assumptions of this statement or of this law. So here, first assumption is the constant technology. So it is your constant technology. What does it constant technology states? It states that there is no improvement in the technology. Why? Because if the technology improves, it may happen that the output is increasing at a different rate. The law states that the output initially increases at an increasing rate. Increases at an increasing rate. And then it is increasing but at a decreasing rate. If the technology improves, then may not be this relationship will follow. So we consider as the assumption here is the constant technology of the situation. Second assumption is the factor proportions are variable. What does it mean? If factor of production are to be combined in a fixed proportion, the law has no validity. What does it mean by this factor proportion? Now here factor proportion means that how this K and L or different factors are combined in proportion. In which proportion different factors are combined. This is your factor proportion. Now if we think that this factor proportion is fixed, that means always how much amount of K is combined with how much amount of L is same, that means it is a constant, then probably this relationship of that has been stated by the law of the variable proportion will not take place. This factor of product, let us take an example. Suppose we do have a land of 10 acre. Suppose we do have that land, and we also have the labor who will be working in that land. Probably the amount of labor we do have is 10 laborers. Now in this case, if I ask that what is the factor proportion at here, the factor proportion or FP here will be 10 acre of land divided by 10 labor. So it will be 1. Now in this case, if the land remain constant and we have increased the labor by 1 unit, then definitely it will not remain as 1. Factor proportion in this case, it will be 10 by 11. So in this case, definitely this value will be less than 1. And in this situation, in the short run, if we keep this land as fixed and we continuously increase the quantity of labor, then what will happen? That the more labor we will engage, say for example from 11 we have increased 1 more labor, so the total amount of labor will be 12. So the ratio will become 10 divided by 12, which is lesser than the previous input combination which was 10 by 11. So like that, if we continuously doing that, what is changing? The factor proportion will change. So if the factor proportion change, then only the law of variable proportion hold. If we assume that the factor proportion is a fixed, then the law of variable proportion is not possible in this situation when this factor proportion is fixed. Now let us see the third assumption. Now the third assumption is the homogeneous factor units. It states that each unit is identical in both quality and quantity. Why it is important? See, when we are trying to understand the relationship between the labor and the output, then definitely every time the increase in labor that is affecting the output level or increase in output, we have to assume that the additional unit of labor is having the same quantity and the quality is also same. Let us take an example. Suppose we have 10 laborers and 10 laborers are producing 100 units of output. Now in this case, suppose we have added one more labor, that means 10 plus 1, 11 labor, and how much units it will be produced? How much units will be produced by this 11th labor? Here now, if I take the additional labor, last addition of the labor, this is more skilled. He is more skilled labor. Then definitely the impact on the output will be very aggressive. Probably now the 11th units of labor is going to produce 150 units of the output. This 50 units of the output is the addition of the last labor. Why this so aggressive addition, so aggressive increment in the output? This is because of this skill. So all the labor units must be same in quality. And let us understand about the quality perspective. Now here we have considered the skill of the one labor, of the last labor, means 11th labor. We assume that there is a huge skill has been added by this labor, and that's why there is a sharp increase in the output. Now what will happen to the output if we increase the labor by 5 units? And then try to understand the impact of it. So definitely it can also aggressively increase the output level, because here the addition we have considered for 15 laborers, right? So 15 laborers together definitely will increase the output. How much the 5 laborers together is responsible for the increase in the output, that can be captured, but we cannot capture what will be the addition by the 11th unit, because individual contribution if we need to consider, then the unit of addition must be 1. So this is what about the third assumption of the homogeneous factor units.